It's been a pretty incredible journey, and so we're just going to give a little bit of a story about how we got here and where we're going to go. So I am honored to have Stella here. On her name tag it says research engineer, but she really is the heart and soul, as Johnson mentioned, and JM, of the e-ink BMW collaboration. And as Johnson also mentioned, you can't really do anything without partners, and BMW has been a great partner. So we're going to kick it off. Who has the clicker?
I have the clicker.
Okay.
I have the clicker. Well,
all right.
Yeah. On that note, awesome working together with you, Pete. Thank you so much, Johnson JM, for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. So Stella, about 5 years ago today, in the summer of 2021, you came to BMW. You came to E-Ink and said, we have this idea about wrapping a car, changing the color of a car, changing the surface of a car. How did that really happen?
Yeah, maybe let's look at the products that we've made together. Yeah. I think we have a video reel here. And look at our concept cars. There is a bit of music here in the background, so we turn it up a little bit, be a bit more engaging. This is the iX Flow, the world's first black and white color changing car. So Vision D, full color, the world's first full color changing car, CES 2023. And did you think we'd stop there? No. Here we have the i5 Flow Nostacana. That was at Freeze LA 2024.
Yeah, incredible, right? So JM showed a virtual car or a AI generated car. This is real materials. This is real blood, sweat, and tears. Backplanes, line traces, batteries, controllers that really make it happen. But you have to go back to a little bit about the kind of the origin stories. Like we talk about how E-Ink really does save power, but what really inspired you to come to E-Ink?
Yeah. If we look at the next slide, the inspiration for this was the amazing technology of the e-reader. And knowing how E-Ink works and knowing, engineers are interested in how things work, it's essentially color change. It's not a classical light-driven display. And here in the room, we all know E-Ink, and we all know that it's sunlight readable, that it's bistable. And when I present within BMW or to classical engineers, I say, imagine holding a piece of paper in your hands and it changes color. But not only that, you take the power away and the color stays. And you can't say that of any light bulb. Any light bulb, you take scissors, you cut through it, the light's out. That helps everyday people understand how incredible that is. So really an honor to sit with an amazing team at E-Ink. Even the guy who invented it, Barrett, is here in the room. So extra honor to be here with all of you. And of course, if you have an idea at BMW, you'd have an idea in your head, but you try to bring it into a product. So, we weren't working with you at the very beginning, so these were the first prototypes at BMW, just kind of wave share modules you find on Amazon. If you remember those early prototypes, and here on the right-hand side is bicolor E-Ink, Arduino, a little bit of electronics, and you make simple prototypes. It's actually not that easy to show people in the company these kind of prototypes and have them be able to picture an entire car changing its colors. So what I want to say with that is it's not that easy to convince people of ideas that are far out there, that are quite disruptive. But you guys came on board, and the prototypes got better, and the prototype that really changed things was this one.
Yeah, so what happens if you don't know? It's hard to get E-Ink off the shelf. So we worked really hard to get these basically big ITO sheets. So these are kind of normal, bigger than the normal area that you get. Usually you get a little 6-inch display from E-Ink or a little A4 sheet to just see how it feels. But Stella's like, I need some more. So the team, you need lots of agreements in place, but the team really did well on working with Stella. You could see the connectors. These are our nice Y-tails. We basically try to give Stella some building blocks to start the project. And, literally she's just switching it by hand. And this is what it takes sometimes to inspire management to kind of get on board, right? You can have a little car, you know, we have these little stretchable cars, you can have pictures, you can have fake videos, but seeing, you know, when you have a lot of light on the e-ink display and it goes from a light or dark color to the next color, it really actually reflects the light pretty well. So you can actually see, like I can stand here and I can feel when it's switching because of how much light the e-ink reflects.
Yeah, I remember the moment when I was doing that, and then I tapped the cables together, and then the car changed. I had a little bit of a wow moment myself there as well. And then I mean, this helps you. If you look at this video, it's an easy jump in your head to imagine the entire car changing its color. And so management came to me and said, can you really do that for an entire car? Like a car's curved. And I answered, yes. I had no idea, to be honest. It was so much harder.
Yeah. And I think I remember Stella said, hey, look at this. If we do this for the whole car, we might need about 25 square meters. And I think we ended up sending 600 meters to BMW.
That's how hard it was.
That's how hard it was.
Yeah,
and then actually you could see Stella's playing around a little bit where she's just tapping it to kind of do some, you know, a little bit of the waveform where she was just having a 1-bit waveform, black and white. But if you change the timing, you can get grayscale. And so part of the beauty of downstairs, if you look at the bonnet, is you get this really nice subtle grayscale. So even in the early days, we knew just black and white wouldn't be enough, that you needed some of these grayscales to kind of really start what we're calling the IX flow, right? And so I think there's another video on the wave switch. And this is, I think, the inspiration of why we call it the IX flow and the IX flow edition and the iX3 flow edition, where when you wave switch a part of e-ink, it's really magical. This is like the aha moment for me, where you have this beautiful wave switching attribute, which really does look like it's flowing, and it really looks magical on the car.
Yeah, that was the moment where we got it flexible for the iX flow, and this was a good weekend in the workshop where for the first time we got a flow going from the hood, up the A-pillars and up the roof. This was intensive. The decision for the iX flow came in July of 2021. By 2022 CES, we had made 3 iX flows.
Yeah. And you can see all the connections you need. So when you look at something that looks magical or easy, the nicer and the easier it looked like it is, that means the hard work is really done. Another interesting thing we'll talk about as it's going is you'll see some of the original ones had these little cuts in them. And because the original e-ink is on PET film foil, it doesn't really stretch or bend easily. It's only really 2D. So we really had to think about how do you make a 3D surface out of a 2D material. And we really had these little facets. Maybe if you go back one, I don't know if you go back one. So you could see where there's actually, you know, these little white lines. That's where we laser cut through the e-ink, and it still works if you cut it correctly, but then you have this non-functional area. But we actually, BMW did a really nice job where they actually use that as a design feature, and it mimics the grille design that was on the iX at the time. Yeah,
we had awesome designers who came with some very creative ideas there, so it actually looks quite aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. And Pete, if we can take a moment to celebrate some of the awards. Well, we've won many awards, but this is one that we're particularly proud of, which meant that we kept going to color.
No, one, go back one, sorry.
All right, no worries.
So, go back one. Yeah, so this is the video.
It's not a video.
Oh, it's not a video. So this is the picture at CES 2022. And I think, you know, it got trucked up from Oxnard. We did a lot of work with the team. I remember duct taping wires, and then everybody's like, oh, but the gas cap, the charge cap is not working. Yeah. But we got a huge response, as some people would say. I think we got over 1 billion, maybe 4 billion impressions, something crazy.
That's half of the human population,
Pete. Well, a lot of people, I probably looked at it like 3 million times myself. But,
I see. Yeah.
Impressions just means, you know. But it was awesome. We had these influencers, Supercar, Blondie, Shmee.
Let me tell that story. Yeah. So when we had the car at CES and we're getting ready, our marketing colleagues said, no, people are not going to believe this. So we did a bit. We did a bit where we had our iX flow between 2 black iXs that didn't change its color, then suddenly ours would change color and drive away. So we shot this bit just so people would believe it, and it leaked onto TikTok. And that's where we got the 4 billion views. Yeah, yeah.
And so this was the this was kind of the Kickstarter moment of where we've been journeying. So this was only 6 months. We've only talked about the first 6 months. Actually.
Yeah, that's true. We should get going to the next car indeed. But we'll be quicker with the next car.
Yeah, we'll be quicker with the next car. After everybody said, that's great, can you do color? So then the challenge was knocked down. Of course, management can't make a decision early enough to give us time. But then in the summer of 22, after CES, BMW was awarded the keynote of CES 2023 to open it up. And one of the key figures was the Neue Klasse and the iVision D full color. And this is just some of the background of how do we do full color, Stella?
Well, that was a challenging one because, with the iX Flow, you pretty much gave us the roll-to-roll material you had and it was mature. But with this car, you guys were still optimizing and making the material. There were features everywhere. There were discolorations and bubbles, and then you hardly got a good piece to us. And then we had to work with a completely new stack. It was a different challenge to the iX Flow. So, it worked out, and I'll just maybe play this in the background so you can see what the entire car looked like. This was shortly before CES, before we'd put all the windscreens and windows in it. So it will take us a long time to explain every step we did here, but again, another incredible teamwork.
Yeah, so if you go back to the iX Flow, there was about 40 pieces of e-ink. Because the black and white was roll-to-roll, they were really long pieces, so it was about 600 millimeters by thousands of meters long. For this, we actually used our ACEP film. We called this Prism 3 back in the day. We had to actually, those were on 600 by 800 millimeter sheets. We had to make a backplane and connectors so that BMW could do that. We had to protect it because color needs a little more protection from UV and moisture. And I think we made 1,000 sheets. So we did another 500 square meters to get one car finished. And I think you made a few cars, but it looks spectacular. It still looks good even last year when we saw it.
D this year was in Australia.
We're
in Australia.
Yeah,
it's been traveling the world. It's been to China twice, the US. It's now in Australia. Yeah, and at the very beginning of this project, I think there's a lot of really useful things you could do with e-ink for the car, like show useful information on the exterior, like as Johnson said, use light to reflect sunlight and keep the interior warm or cold as you want it. But what we realized with time is this didn't need to be something that had a UI functionality to it, and nothing sends that stronger than this picture to me in Shanghai of 2023. It's the ultimate customization of your car. All right, so Pete, I've talked enough about D. Would you like to talk about e-ink technologies?
Yeah, since it is the e-ink, e-paper forum, innovation forum. So we want to go back a little bit for those that are not familiar with e-ink as much. I know you all are fans, but I think Johnson and JM and even Chairman James said, when you look at e-ink, our value proposition, why is e-ink here almost 30 years later after Barrett Comiskey helped start e-ink, is that we are bistable, right? It's all about power, power, power. We're very low power. You turn it off, it still's there. You turn it on, it's there. So it's really, really about the low power. But when you think about the kind of materials and the mechanics of how do you want to change surfaces, you really do need things that are flexible, durable, kind of lightweight. If everything was glass, this is pretty heavy in my hand. E-ink just naturally gravitates to being a surface, right? We didn't start just putting stuff on glass. It was always on flex. Even the very first systems were on a flexible system. And these are the kind of attributes. So when a new customer comes to e-ink and says, I want to change a car, I want to change the world, I want to change something, you kind of have to go back and kind of teach them what does e-ink do and what's it really about. And then if you get a little deeper, next slide, is, we are a physical system, right? We don't have lights, we don't have gadgets, right? We are using these particles that move in a fluid. So e-ink is not only our name, but it's also the technology, electronic ink. It's an electrophoretic system where you're actually moving particles in the field. And there's many different combinations. If you use capsules black and white, that's like the original Carta that was in the original Kindles back in 2007 and the Sonys in 2004. But then if you start adding color, you could do color different ways. We have compartments, what we call microcups. So this is the Spectra 6 kind of backbone where you have red, yellow, blue, and white particles. And that basically gives you this very vivid color. But you don't get magenta, skin tones might be a little off. So if you do cyan, yellow, magenta, this is what we're moving into the marquee and kind of the next generation of Prism, where you can actually have microcapsules doing full color. And these are huge, 10+ year R&D initiatives that take shape. And then the last one, which we've been working on for a little bit, is just tint. So if you take all the particles out, you could actually use e-ink as kind of a light funnel, a light shutter, where, again, from privacy or energy savings, but think about all the glass that you have shades on. Is there a way we can do just tint? So you think about, we have a flex foil, we have these particles that have to move, we have to think about cutting them, shaping them. Like, if you were just doing squares, it wouldn't be as interesting as what we're doing now with surfaces. So you have the idea and you have the technology, and then these are some of our partners. So I'm kind of in the way here. So this is one that we did, JM, this is Cream Guitar. So when Louis, the CEO, saw that, he's like, I want to be the BMW of custom instruments. So he used BMW as an inspiration and said, can I do a color changing guitar? And again, you think about it, when you see it, it's like, of course, that's so easy. Why didn't I think of that? But there's holes in the display. The electronics can't interfere with the music, with the pickups of the music, which challenges. You don't want to have a battery that's always powered, but basically think about when people buy guitars, you go to these guitar shows, which I'm going to now, and the 2026 colors, here's our Gibson colors, and they have to think about the colors they need for that year. What are they going to share with the world for their color? And then they come to e-ink, and you're like, oh, I could do 32 colors, 300 colors. It's like, this kind of takes out one of the dimensions of thought because you can change it. And of course, you can change it with the music. The other thing, which was also interesting, was the cutting. So if you go, we had this picture a lot in our kind of slide deck. But if you really want to, I think the next one should also change. Oh no, that one's not changing? Yeah. So that video is one that was about 10 years ago, and you see people cutting the. Oh, did it already play? Maybe it already played.
It did already play. I think I saw it.
Yeah, so basically what's happening is we are doing leather fashion goods, we're doing guitars, all inspired by the work that Stella and BMW did, where you have, things have color, things have inspiration, things have texture, and how do you bring that into e-ink? So the last 3 slides kind of get people excited about what they can do, with them. And then again, because some of the stuff wasn't always public, we also have eye polish that came, and they're doing color changing fingernails, which is, again, a very interesting story of how do you use surfaces to change your appearance and your inspiration.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, then we...
Next. So we have all these things, but really, when Stella started thinking about e-ink, doing a whole car that just changed from black and white wasn't the inspiration. So you actually had a very personal inspiration of color change and art cars at BMW. I did, very much so, yeah. So before you had any kinds of prototypes, you have to work with words and you have to use imagination. So I had a pitch deck, and the very last slide of this pitch deck was the following. I would say, imagine if you got into your car and you're not only greeted by your name on the display, but with an entire custom interior for you. And when I presented this was the moment where people nodded and said, yeah, I get it. This is legendary South African artist Esther Malangu, and this picture I just found on the internet. And it was the moment in my pitch that people understood what you could do with e-ink. So it's a very special picture for me, and an absolute pinch me moment that the next car was done together with Esther Malangu. So it's the i5 Flow Nostacana, and I'll play a video in the background and we can talk about the tech details of the i5 Flow Nostacana. Yeah, the original car that she had made was an old 5 Series when they launched a new 5 Series in the 80s or 90s.
1990, I think.
Yeah, right at 1990. And BMW has these things called art cars where they have kind of artists throughout the world that put their vision of what they think for color would be. And in the background, those are the original kind of indigenous art that she had become famous for, and then she put that on a BMW. So in the 1990 BMW, she hand painted that. And then Stella, of course, said, well, you know.
And the team. Yeah.
Stella and the team said, well, you know, e-ink basically is digital art. Can we recreate her ideas and her patterns in a thoughtful way, in a meaningful way, and get people inspired? And so if you see it in person, again, it looks fake. When I show this to Andrew Loxley, old inker, he's like, oh, that's great CGI. That looks really good. So even old inkers don't think this is real sometimes when they're like looking at it. It looks so integrated and so good that you're like, wow, that could be real, right? And
the number of segments here, like Pete mentioned, approximately 40 segments on the iX Flow. Here we have 1,349 individual segments.
Right.
And you need to get a trace to each of those. Yeah. So that was
on 14 panels. So it's not it's not 1349 individual pieces.
Yeah.
It's a segmented backplane. So one of the things with Prism is you can basically print any image within the design rules in any shape that fits the design rules. And so you can see we have curves around here where you can actually make these custom displays. And so it really is a design material versus a display. And so this was really excited. And a lot of the things that we did for this are kind of the precursors to what you'll see in the iX3 Flow Edition, where we think about the backplanes, we think about where traces are going, we think about controllers, we think about protection. There's protective sheet on here, there's UV protection, where the other ones were only supposed to last like 6 months. This one was more real, where it is more intentional on what we wanted to try to do. And again, it was only 6 months to do it, but we had to do it again, drop shipping backplanes from China to Billerica and shipping things back and forth.
Yeah, so, and actually it was important for us as this wasn't just a concept car, but that we also learned, because we knew from the first 2 cars, do people want this? Yes, they definitely want it. So we wanted to drive it towards series. So this was the first car we made that had that was sealed and had a first degree of automotive robustness.
Yeah, so that was the last 3 years, 22, 23, 24. So 3 huge concept cars. But you know, there's no 25. Why wasn't there a 2025 concept car, Stella?
Yeah, well, Pete, since you ask, we were busy in the background working on this, the BMW iX3 Flow Edition. And for the first time, we can say this car meets all the automotive requirements. And if I might take a jump back to almost 10 years ago when the idea was pitched, you know, people thought, no, that would never survive the extreme temperatures of automotive. No, stone chip, come on, how do you, that won't work. But we did it. And this car has passed all those intensive tests. So again, wonderful, hats off to everybody here who worked on it. Yeah. This is no easy feat.
Yeah, and we're still in testing, but basically for the last, since 2023 maybe, for the last few years, we've been building up our supply chain, thinking about how to make the parts, thinking about the backplanes, thinking about controllers, and really working in the background with the BMW production team, the team that delivers things to the factories to go from our factory in TOC right to BMW. So the supply chain is really, really minimized so that we could get this to market fairly quickly. So on the design cycle of automotive, this is going really quickly, and it's very exciting. And I can't wait to see it on the road when it's hopefully finally on the road.
Me too, me too. But of course, we're not only going towards production, we're also pushing innovation right here in COMPUTEX. Yeah, so on the background, there was a challenge of, you know, what's next, and the iX Flow was cool, D was cool, but it had some limitations.
is there anything that E-Ink's doing? And if you look at the iX downstairs, the color edition, again, another partnership with BMW and PGM, where we got an iX, the latest one, sent to us in Taiwan. And the challenge was like, how do we show that we're always innovating? If we just stopped there and said this was great, it's a nice story, but everybody wants to know what's next. And if you go downstairs to the booth, you'll see this incredible feat where we're wrapping a car that looks like a finished product. When everybody sees it, it goes back to that viral video that JM shows. It doesn't look real. The wheels on the D were kind of 2D. These are actually thermoformed and overmolded. So we're really showing kind of where Prism is going. And we're really excited about getting color and 3D into the world after the iX3 Flow Edition.
Yeah, so we don't have the picture here, but please go down to the booth and have a look at this incredible iX. And we have the hood downstairs as well at the booth. So we're showing a wonderful bandwidth of what our team does between implementing and driving towards series and dreaming.
Yeah. And you have one last slide?
That's the last slide.
No, there's one more.
Oh, the Nostacana one.
There's one more? Did you get it on there?
There is another Nostacana.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a team. Yeah.
So, thank you for coming.
Yes.
But Stella and I only represent 2 people of the many, many people that support us. So this was after before one of our workshops where we had a bunch of our partners and everybody that helped contribute to the Nostacana car and moving forward. But it takes a village to make things happen, and we're very honored to represent, for myself, the E-Ink team that makes this happen, and for BMW Stella. So,
and if we would take a picture now of everybody is in the team, from the whole production in TOC to Bill Erica to EIH, and also within BMW from our different production facilities, the team would be hundreds of people.
Yeah, it's grown from. We had 5 people on each side back in the day. It's grown a little bigger. But the interesting thing is the core team has stayed together. So if you look at, what really, there's a lot of grit and determination to make it happen. If you have people coming in and out, it's hard to kind of integrate them into a project. But Stella has had her core team for now 4 or 5 years, and the team that's on the prototype team in Billerica and in Taiwan, we really have a great staff that really just works night and day to make the impossible happen. So thank you.
Big hats off to you, Pete, and to all you guys as well. Thank you.
Thank you.